Then we are live. I'm also JP. Are you there? Almost,
Yes, I'm here.
almost thought I'd lost JP. Hi everyone. Some Today is something totally different from what I used to do. I normally do some accounting and tax talks, and I also do a lot of talks about the morning routines and daily habits. And today is something totally different. And I saw a new company that's, if I may call him a company or it a company, but I saw it on Facebook going the rounds, and a lot of clients asked me about that specific company. I'm not going to call any names. It's something, I don't know. But um, I've asked JP, he's one of the most successful network marketers in South Africa, in my opinion. He's been a client of mine for, I think, from since about 2006. And yeah, I just somebody to look up to, and I thought asked JP come on board and just come and share some insights regarding network marketing and what to look out for, especially what to look out for in network marketing. So JP, thank you very much for joining me today.
Awesome, Jasper. Great to be on the call. And I'm not sure you're all out there listening to the call today, but if you're on the call, welcome on board. I know Jasper. In fact, I think I've known him since 2008. So yeah, it's been great to obviously get to know him and obviously see all the good things he's doing and just in the community and making a difference. With these calls he does and interviewing people, and I've just obviously seen a lot of really good feedback from a lot of people. So I think it's great what you're doing as well, and if you should definitely keep it up. And I know it's making a big difference for people out there.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So, like I said, you've been in the network marketing industry from about 2006. Is that right?
No. In fact, 2008. Yeah, I was at university doing my. I always share with people that very often, like, you always wonder what are you going to do when you grow up one day. And I can assure you, no one says I want to get involved in network marketing. But basically, for me, I was at university. I was obviously playing rugby at that stage, and one of my very good friends obviously told me about this product and told me about the opportunity. And I must say, for me, I was definitely skeptical. And I went to a presentation and didn't get involved straight away. I went to another presentation. I took my mom to the next presentation with me, and just to make sure that I'm making a qualified decision. And I think why I just share that with everyone is because, if you had told me when I was at school, I was doing a BCom at that stage, I obviously finished my degree and so forth, but I think most people out there aren't really aware of what the industry is all about or how it works. And it's amazing for me just to sort of see in my business over the last sort of, we've sort of gone to massive momentum probably the last 5 years. I've been involved for probably just almost 12 years now. And just seeing a lot of professional people get on board. I've got medical doctors in my group, engineers, chartered accountants, actuaries, rugby players, teachers, single moms. It's really changed a lot. So I think the industry as a whole is becoming a lot more acceptable, if I can put, for lack of a better word. But it's been a massive blessing in my life. So just from a point of view, I always encourage people. That's a great way for people to earn an additional stream of income. I've just obviously chosen to make a career out of this, and it's obviously been quite some time now. And it's been a massive blessing in my life over the last 12 years. Just from being able to travel the world, I've been able to travel all over the world. I've been able to, just have my own time freedom and just to be financially free. I think it's a massive blessing. So, but yes, of course, hard work. It's not a get rich quick scheme. So don't think you just get involved and sign the application form and sign up online and put a bit of money in, and it definitely is hard work. And I think for anyone, one of my mentors once said to me, he said, you'll lose more people making it sound easy than you're making it sound hard. I think most people out there that are astute would know that it does take time and effort, and anything worthwhile takes a bit of time and effort. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you for watching. Just a quick reminder to grab your gift bag for entrepreneurs in the link below. It's a gift bag for entrepreneurs to the value of 57,000 Rand, free of charge. All you need to do is activate it. Part of that gift bag for entrepreneurs is a voucher of 3 months for 3 months free accounting services from a company, Dryk Holdings. All you need to do is activate the gift bag voucher in the link below, and we will be in contact with you as soon as you've done that.
Thank you for watching, and back to the interview.
No, massive value, a very good point there. Anything that's worthwhile takes time. You, nothing that's anything that's sustainable. You want to build up to being sustainable. You need to work hard to it. It's not something that you can have, like you say, put today, put some money in, and next week you earn a lot of money. It's not sustainable. So if you want to build a sustainable business, you need to put in the hours, you need to put in consistent work to get that done. So um, I always tell some of my other clients that's not part of network marketing. I think network marketing, even though you might not be interested in network marketing itself, it's a great way of developing yourself, because you are part of a peer group that almost encourage you to grow and to develop. So do you believe my advice is correct regarding that? I mean, to actually encourage entrepreneurs to develop themselves?
Yeah, well, I think that sort of that principle, Jasper, really comes from that, for you to grow a group or grow people, it really comes down to leadership. And I think for you, from a leadership point of view, you should always be developing yourself. And I think, why it's very much associated with network marketing is because I think it's because one of the, a lot of the older companies have been around for a long time that really promoted this thing called system, which is really, books, it's attending functions, and it's obviously CDs. Well, it used to be CDs at least, and now we're sort of doing podcasts and lots of different things. And that just comes back to the basics of if you develop yourself as a leader, and if you develop your people, you can obviously grow a group. Because obviously what ends up happening is the more you develop yourself, you sort of tend to attract better people that come on board in your business, because for me, I mean, if you're not reading, if you're not growing yourself, then nothing you really have to say is really worthwhile listening to. Because if I can read a book, and I'm reading an amazing book at the moment, I'm not sure if you read it, but by James Clear, called Atomic Habits, and it's incredible. And just talking specific about these little daily things we can do that make such a big difference, and I think for me, even just being involved in this industry, it's very often we're very goal oriented, and we think, okay, well, we're working towards this, but very often people don't realize it's very important to put the right systems in place. And I think very often people have got these grandiose ideas, but if they haven't got the systems in place to make that manifest, it becomes very, very difficult. And for me, I've always been very, very diligent on goals and doing to-do lists and so forth, because I've always felt for me that we as human beings like, to progress, and we need to feel like we're accomplishing something. And for me, it's great to go on my to-do list and, just tick something off and say, listen, I've done that for the day, and it feels like I'm moving forward, And so for me, I mean, I think all of us should develop our minds and what we're putting inside inside our conscious and subconscious, because, whatever, and I've so often experienced this, just that when I'm constantly listening to audios or reading books or whatever, sometimes I say things and I'm thinking, like, where did that come from? I mean, it's not like something I learned or something I really like sat down and made notes on. It's just that you constantly, if you're in that space, you really, really do develop a different way of thinking. And, for things to change in your life, you've got to change. For things to become better, you've got to become better. So that's why for me is that, that social science has obviously shown it's an old cliche, but the only way you can change is by the books that you read, the people you associate with, and what you listen to. And I've so often tend to experience this when, just for me personally, when I'm hanging around certain friends, I start speaking like them. If I'm, I start acting like them, So it's very, very important to make very, very sure that you are associating with people that are already building you up and want the best for you. And so, I mean, for me, you should be reading every single day. I mean, even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes a day, it makes a difference. It's those that's really the compound effect, as many of you might know of. So, and I think that's specifically what you're saying now is what comes back to why people like Robert Kiyosaki, and, a lot of other, well-established businessmen, international businessmen have endorsed the network marketing industry because of the system of growing people. And it's not so much whether you make a success in network marketing, it's about the principles that you learn, working with people, putting your customer first, building people up, calming situations down. It all comes back to what you really learn. And you don't only just learn in network marketing, but I think very much, specifically in our industry, it's very much, it's almost magnified to some extent, because, we don't pay people a salary to be involved. You're leading a voluntary army. People can leave if they want to, they can do something else. So you can't control people in that sense. You've got to inspire them. And if you create an environment where people feel that they are celebrated and they feel that they're in a good space, then that's what they're going to stay. And so for me, if you're telling your group to be reading a book a month, then you should make sure that you're reading 2 books. So definitely it really starts with you as the person leading the group. And just because remember, everyone, even if you're on the call and you're not in network marketing, you're still a leader. You might think I might not be a CEO of a company, but you're still a leader because you're leading your family, you're leading yourself. So yeah, that helps.
Yeah, it's very resonates with me. I'm a big fan of Robin Sharma, and one of these big things is be a leader without a title. You don't need a title to be a leader. You can be an example, and you can make a difference in the world without having a title. So yeah, very, very, very important aspect. Also, something that I just want to add to that is the concept of emotional contagion. And that's exactly what you've talked about right now. So you can see that the behavior in someone's when they surround themselves with certain people, you can almost guesstimate their behavior by the rest of the group of people and their thinking habits. And emotional contagion even go deeper with the deeper layers with the friends of the friends of the friends. So it's important to surround yourself with that specific peer people that will influence you correctly in the right direction. So you mentioned about Robert Kiyosaki as well, and I actually want to discuss that, but I'm going to keep that for a bit later. But I really want to go through the cash flow quadrant as well, because I think that's very important. And you are basically, I've known you for like we said, many years, and you are on the correct side of the cash flow quadrant. But let's get back to a few steps back, and let's get back to how to choose a network marketing company. Like I said, I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of people contact me and ask me advice about a specific group of I don't want to say network marketing, but I believe it's a pyramid scheme. But they asked me some advice, and my simple advice was, and something you guys always taught me was, if you want to make sure the difference between a network marketing company and a pyramid is there must be a proper product behind a network marketing company. There must be something that you can resell and that can actually deliver commission from there. There must be a product part of that. So, but I think that's why you are here. So if you can give me proper insight about how to choose between and how to identify a network marketing company and the pyramid scheme.
Okay, that's a great question. And I've obviously been doing this for 12 years, so I've been doing this for quite some time. In fact, the first time when I joined the company I'm involved with now, and I've only ever been with one company. So, but when I joined that company, I remember when I went to a rugby practice, all my friends said to me, "Oh, it's a scam. You can lose your money." And I was like quite shocked. I was quite taken aback because first of all, I'd never ever heard of a pyramid scheme. I might have heard the term, but I had no idea how it all worked. So for me, it was, I had to sort of educate myself on, how am I going to explain to my friends and to my family or whatever, how this works, why is this different? So I think for me, just to start off with, I think, the most important thing is it really comes down to the product that you have. And of course, there are companies that have got services as well. In fact, in South Africa, we've got an organization called the Direct Selling Association, and in fact, only 28 companies are actually a member of this organization. They really regulate the industry. They make sure that you are doing everything ethically, that your compensation plan is fair, that they're really protecting the consumer and just the general public to make sure that people that are going to get involved, at least they're getting involved with something that's legitimate. Because I think for me, there's nothing worse than when you do get involved in a company and it gets shut down, or you told friends and family to invest in something and it ends up being a scam or whatever. And I think for me, that's not something I wish on anyone. And the reason why I share that is because I think for me in the beginning, that's sort of what I was so nervous about. I don't want to get involved and tell my parents' friends and tell my friends to get involved in this, and it's not something that's legitimate. So for me, so basically, I think, first of all, obviously, I think it's always going to be a good thing to join a company as part of the Direct Selling Association. And the reason for that is because if you're going to build something, there's no point. sorry, if you're going to build something, one of the reasons why people get involved with network marketing is because of residual income. So if you're joining a company that is, you might make a lot of money for a year or even two. If that company gets shut down after year 3 or 4 because they weren't legitimate, then what's the point of all the work you've done over the last 2 or 3 years and all the relationships that you've sort of burnt because you got involved in something, not always because you purposely try to do that. I think very often what happens is that people don't know any better. They are sold this grandeur, this dream, this lifestyle where you're going to get involved, you don't have to do much, and you're going to make all this money. It can be very, very appealing to people because they, it's almost like they're thinking, this is now my one chance. I've been praying about this. I've been, what is 4,000 Rand? What is 5,000 Rand really in the greater scheme of things? Maybe it's, but what they don't realize is that they're really fueling the growth of those schemes without even knowing it. So for me, I think it's very, very important that, if you are going to join a company, is to make sure, number one, I think for me, it's got to be about the product. It's got to be a product that you would use, that even if you weren't involved, even if it wasn't done through a network marketing company, would you still buy that product? I think that for me is the first thing. So I think for me, more important than anything else is you've got to love the product you're representing, and you've got to become a product of the product. But then I think the second thing is, and this is something that's actually quite important, is because in 1979, the FTC, which is obviously in the US, filed a lawsuit against a company, and I'm not going to mention names, it's not really important. But basically, this company had to go and defend themselves and prove that they are a legitimate company, that it's not a pyramid scheme, that they are actual end consumers and customers. And that was the first time that I actually want to say that network marketing became a legitimate type of way of doing a business, where people didn't, sort of blanket code everything and say, oh, well, it's also like that, but it's a glorified whatever pyramid scheme or whatever that may be. So for me, one of the rulings that they established back then was something called the 70% ruling, where if the FTC comes in and looks at your company, is to make sure that at least 70% of the people that are part of that company are actual end consumers of the product. If everyone's involved to make money, then that's illegal, because when there's no new people putting money in to make money, then it's going to collapse. So for me, what's really important to share about that is that, and specifically for me, why I've liked the product company is because it's something tangible, it's something I can feel, it's something I can buy. Specifically with our company, our customers pay wholesale for the product, and it doesn't cost them any money to sign up, and so do our associates. Everyone pays the same. So, but specifically is that 70% of the people or more have to actually use the product as an end consumer. So, which means that there's not actually any new people that have to join the scheme for it to be sustainable. So for instance, to give you an idea, in my organization, we have probably between 1,000 and 2,000 people joining every month. So I don't need any new people to join, because I've got tens of thousands of people. I don't need any new people to join. So, but the key thing there is because we're working on a product that's consumable, that runs out every single month, which means that people buy that product on a monthly basis. Now, I've had customers for the last 12 years that have never made an income from this opportunity. They are just using it because they love the product. And I think for me, that's something really that people have to look at, and they have to really go and study, is to look at the income disclosure of the company, or look at the company and say, okay, how many people are involved in this actually because they love the product? So for me, that's something that's really, really, really important. Something else that I've also seen happen very, very often previously is where companies would front load people. So they get people to buy a large amount of product up front to be able to earn commissions. They might disguise it as clever things and call it a founder's package. If you get this package, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. You've got to get this package, because if you don't get this package, then, because remember, we as human beings we've got this fear of missing out. In fact, I think the companies you're referring to, and I'm obviously reading between the lines, but they've got something in their compensation plan called a fear of missing out bonus, which is, you've got to recruit at least 4 people to buy that pack within the first 2 weeks, otherwise you can't earn this commission. So what ends up happening is people are so scared they're going to lose out on the commissions that will end up talking to as many people as they can about this opportunity, or what's deemed to be an opportunity. And so this thing really just gets a life of its own. And so I think for me, I'm always very careful. I mean, or some company might be launching a new coin, and they say, well, this is the, if you don't get this, it's like you've got until the 1st of June to get this coin. If you don't get it, you've missed out on an opportunity. It's going to be, your life is going to be completely destroyed if you don't do this. I think those are the things, because people play on people's emotions, and because, I mean, as you would know, we as individuals are very unpredictable, but as a whole, we as a group are very predictable. So that that if you're speaking to a large amount of people, you're going to find people that are vulnerable and people that are looking for something to do. And I think especially in the times we are right now, you've got so many people getting involved in schemes, because I mean, remember this, is that the network marketing industry is an amazing industry to be part of. And I think, the popularity of it is really obviously has allowed dishonest individuals to get involved and start these companies. And the problem with it is that very often the people that sharing this with people, they don't know any better. So they don't know the difference. They're just hoping to make it, because they're looking to help their family. They're looking to do something where they can make a contribution, where they can, so they don't see the bigger scheme of everything. But I mean, to be honest with you, and I mean, I know I'm maybe answering the question a little bit too much in detail, but the thing about it is that I've been part of this for 12 years. In fact, next month I would have been part of this industry for 12 years. And if I got $1,000 for every time someone came to me with a new thing that they thought, oh, this is going to be the next big thing, whether it's disguised as a charity or whether it's like, it's disguised as as Bitcoin or as a fiat currency, it makes no difference. I mean, but the thing about it is just be so careful, because I think, most of these companies aren't around, because in our industry, just to give you an idea, there's hundreds of companies that start every year in our industry. I mean, there's loads of companies that start. There's probably only like 5% of those companies that make it through the first year of business. And I probably, would want to say to all of you that of those companies that make it through the first year, probably only 5% of them make it to year 5. And then probably it's really this, it's almost like jumping through hoops. There's a big hoop, and then which is quite easy to do. It's very easy to start a network marketing company. Then there's the next hoop, and that's when you get to 5 years, and it's the next hoop. So for me, I've particularly enjoyed being part of a company. It's a legacy company, which is a company that's been in business for very long, because I want to make sure that if I am no longer here to build the business anymore, or if I decide to do something else completely more traditional, then I want to know I'm going to get my income for the next 5, 10, 20 years, because that's residual income. It's not residual income if you have to sign people up all the time, and if you walk away from opportunity, your income stops, or if that company gets shut down. And I've seen some incredible, I mean, Jasper, I saw a company that was, I mean, this company is such an amazing product. They had great products. They got shut down by the FTC because, even though they had a great product, the majority of the people involved were just recruiting people to recruit. So who was actually the end consumer? Even though they had a great product, they had products that were double-blind studies on them. It was a great company. I mean, I'm still got a lot of friends in that company, so they were part of that company at least. And it's just that you've got to be so careful, because the motto of the story is that you need people to actually use the product, irrespective if it's done through a network. So that's really what it boils down to, and at least to make sure that more than 70% of the people are actual customers of the product.
So very good points. I want to add just 2 points from my perspective as well, and something I've also shared with a number of people regarding this. And first thing, if you actually touch on that, is make sure you're involved with the product, the business, or a service that you're actually proud of and that will serve your reputation good. Because I think to really just get involved in the business and to resell and to make a quick buck, but your reputation might get knocked while doing this business. I think so. Be very careful about your reputation while doing this, and you don't want to sell a product to family members and friends, and then in 2 weeks' time, in a month's time, the company goes bankrupt or whatever the case may be. So I think that's the first thing. And another thing that I really live for these days are my ikigai, the reason for waking up for me, the reason for waking up in the morning that's bigger than myself. And I think you can resonate with that as well. You don't just do the business for money. I mean, obviously it's a big portion of that as well, because I mean, we all love money and we all need to earn a good living, but that's not your main purpose. Your biggest purpose is to uplift on other entrepreneurs. You've got a whole mission. It's M5M. What was it called?
Yeah, Mission 5 million.
Yeah. I mean, you have a foundation for that as well. So I mean, there's a bigger cause than just running a business. It's really just there's bigger reason for you for waking up than just running a network marketing business. As far as I've noticed
but if I have to be
guys.
then honest with you, on that, I definitely, without a doubt, and maybe a lot of the people on the call here today can relate to that. But for me, definitely when I started in this industry because I wanted to earn an extra 5,000 Rand a month as a university student. So I never obviously realized at that stage this would become a career. But I guess for me, the one thing I've also realized is that, we as human beings, we're always going to want more. You're never going to feel like you've arrived, because I remember when I said to myself, like, well, if I get to this sort of income, then I'm going to do this. Or if I get to this income, then if I can only get to this income, then it's like I'm going to have no more issues. Or if I'm only going to have, and what I've sort of realized is that, it's almost like chasing a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's like you're never actually going to arrive. And I think that's sort of the way that life works, is you're never supposed to feel like you've arrived anywhere, because we constantly need to be growing and evolving. So for me, I think, I think probably in the last 2 or 3 years when my income got to a significant sort of level, I think for me, what gives me a lot more joy, at least, because and for me, I always, there's an old saying called "What makes your heart sing." I think it gives me a lot more joy, or at least like where I can get a tear, like from an emotional point of view, much more when I have a new leader that gets to a new rank and it changes their life compared to, or in their family's life, or that income makes such a difference to them, a lot more than what it does to add that increase on top of what my income is already. So I think for me, a lot of people get to a level where, and I would encourage everyone to work towards something where you can get to a stage where you can feel it's not really about the money anymore. It's really about something where you feel you're making a positive difference in the world. You're leaving people better than what you find them. And, even if it's just one person, that's still worthwhile. I'm obviously in a health and wellness company. So, 96% of people that lie awake at night are worrying about two things: their health and their finances. So I thought for me, well, that's a pretty good place to be in, because if I can help people with their health, which is really your first wealth, that's such an important part. You only need to sort of have a compromised immune system, or a health challenge, or whatever, to realize how important and how much you value it. So, so for me, that's obviously for me the first thing, because I see this all the time, and just even from an investment point of view, it's easier for people to invest money, but they don't want to invest money into their mindset, and money into the eating habits, or money into the supplements that they take, or so for me it's important that you have to be holistic in everything. There's not just one thing that you got to do. It's the same thing as me saying, oh well, just take my product, you don't have to do anything else, you can do whatever you want, and this is a silver bullet, and do whatever you want. It doesn't work. It's really just a piece of the puzzle from a supplementation point of view. You've got to look at other things as well. And I think for me, probably the biggest thing is really stress. And stress, without a doubt, which obviously compromises your health immensely. But that comes from finances. If people are under financial pressure, under financial stress. It was amazing. I was talking to my private banker the other day, and she was saying to me, it's so scary during this time how many people she thought was actually pretty well off. That, just like 1 month, and like they can't cope after 1 month of having no income. And for years and years and years, I'd always be saying this in presentations, that most people, are 3 months away from being bankrupt. And it seems that it was very mistaken. It seems like most people are 30 days away from being bankrupt. So for me, one of the things that I've always sort of tended to work on is this thing called, your freedom fund or your retirement fund. And that's really for me is how much money, to give an example. So if you can decrease or increase your income, remember it's much more, people are much more affected or motivated by having the income decrease than not to increase their income. If I can put it, people will work a lot harder not to lose 20,000 a month than what they'll work to earn an extra 20,000 a month, as an example. But so people are much more driven by that. So I think for me, it's really important. This is just not just in our industry. If you're on the call here, is to, one of my mentors said to me, he said, like, if you can get your income down by 20%, so you're living on 8% of your income, it's like every 4 to 5 months you're buying yourself 1 month of freedom. So for me, if you've been doing this for the last 10 years or 12 years, been putting a little bit away every month, it's that you don't have an issue if your income stops because you've built up, 20 or 36 or 50 months of freedom that you don't need to work for the next 50 months because you've got an income you've been putting away over the last 10 years. And I think a lot of people realize it's too late. Like you realize it in your, it's too late basically. And you can see this with people that are retiring. I mean, I see this constantly. Like people haven't provided for their retirement because you're hoping that everything's going to be fine one day, or the government's going to look after you, or your kids are going to buy. But most people don't realize that if you have to save like 10 million rand in an investment to get like 40,000 rand a month in your retirement obviously after tax. So how many people can save 10 million rand? So if you've only got 10 years left to work, how are you going to save 10 million rand? And then it comes back to what we're talking about today, is that then people, get excited or get involved in something where people say, oh no, just put in 10,000 rand because you'll have, in the next 5 years, you'll have 10 million rand. And people go and put their money into that. And the problem is that people don't just put 10,000 or 20,000. They get so excited about this thing that they think, oh my word, I could become a billionaire from this, and they then go and put in 100 or 500 or 1 million rand. I mean, I spoke to someone a few weeks ago who in one of these companies, older lady who had put in 1 million rand into this, buying this, investing it. Well, she calls it an investment. I think it's an expense. I don't think it's an investment. But time will tell. But 99% of the time with these things, I'm normally right. So yeah, I hope I've answered your question probably a little bit more in detail. But yeah, I hope that helps.
Thank you very much, JP. I think on that, I actually want to go to the cash flow quadrant because I think that's a very important aspect, and you've actually talked about a lot about it, except not for me asking about it, but I'm gonna get to that. I just want to there's a lot of people on the call, and just want to give you see if there's any questions or anything. There's a lot of Gert and Nicolas say hi, hello, Mariska Wessels, hello, Sumi. There's a lot of people on the call. I don't see if you can. I'm not sure if you can see it. So
I'm on Zoom, so I've got no idea.
No idea. Okay. It's a lot of people on the call.
As far as I know, I thought it was just me and you having a chat.
No, definitely not. Solani Low say hi, Jasper and JP. Great talk. So hi everybody. Heinrich, a friend of mine from Fisuk. Hi there. So there's a lot of people on the call. So if there's any questions from your guys' side, I'm trying to ask a lot of questions that I know of, but if there's any questions that you have, please shout, and I will get to that questions as well in a moment. So let's talk about the cash flow quadrant. I think that's one of the very first books that the network marketer gets shoved into their hand is Rich Dad Poor Dad or cash flow quadrant, and for a good reason. I mean, do you want to explain it for us?
I can go into a short description about it, but basically the book comes down to what Robert Kiyosaki wrote about. He wrote this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and these different cash flow quadrants, which is actually the second book. But basically what he says is that everyone in the world is one of the quadrants, and there's 4 quadrants. And on the left-hand side, you've got, on the top left, you've got the E quadrant, which is the employee quadrant, where basically you work for 40 years, which is, if you work it out, it's about 480 paychecks that you get for your entire life if you work 40 years. And the scary part about that, if you're very lucky, it's 78 summers and it's all done, if you live to 78. So most people spend most of their life, just working. And the problem is the majority of these people, they don't have any leverage. So the problem is the more they earn, the more they pay in tax. So what he really is saying is that people should then either move to starting their own business or become self-employed or become a specialist. But then once again, you've got the challenge of you're still trading time for money. So you would like to obviously have, so if you're not working, you've got no income. So his whole philosophy was just about, if you are going to be in the E and the S quadrant, start working on something where it's a B quadrant business. And I think we all can see this in the times we're in right now, having an additional income stream. And when I'm talking about additional income stream, you should do lots of different network marketing companies. The man that chases 2 rabbits catches neither. So the reality about this is you've got to choose one company. So when I'm talking about additional income streams, I'm not talking about you should build a network marketing company in health and wellness, another one in cryptocurrency, another one in whatever, in skincare. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you've got to focus on one business, because no one has ever built two different companies at the same time to a successful level. There are people that have built one company, they moved over to another one and built that and had the income here, and obviously not ruin the database of the previous company, so they don't get into any challenges from that company. But so for me, if you can start a B business, it's really where you have a leverage of people working for you, which is obviously the top right hand side of the quadrant. And the reality about this is eventually it could be something where you could eventually walk away and come back a year later and your business has grown without you being there, because you've got systems in place. And I think that's something for me is becoming so important, is that what's your system? It's one thing to build a network marketing business, but what's the system of how you're going to move people to the next level? Even in a conventional business, I mean, what's your system on, producing your product that's going to make it more efficient, or your service? What are you putting in place to make it different and make it unique? What's your unique selling proposition? So that for me, obviously, is the B side of the quadrant. And then, of course, the I side, which is the bottom of that, is the investor quadrant, which all of us are working towards, which is investing in property, or, into stocks, or, whether you're taking money offshore or whatever it may be. But that's sort of what investors do. It might be investing in other businesses. But for me, the most important thing is just that all of us have a philosophy of thinking, okay, well, this is what I'm doing right now, but what happens if I could leverage my time, and what happens if I can leverage my income? And that's really what it's all about. And it's just that people in the B side of the quadrant, and obviously you would probably be aware of this because since you do my books, it's just that, when you've got a B business, there are a lot of deductions that you can make, things like your business expenses that you have that are sometimes personal expenses, but they're also business expenses. And I think that's why, that people that start businesses have got such an advantage, because you've got all these deductions that you can make, because the government likes seeing people that are contributing as from a business point of view. So that's basically what the philosophy is all about. And obviously, yes, it's a book that's been in network marketing for a long time, because, Robert Kiyosaki has spoken at our company convention. He's spoken a lot of company conventions in the industry, because, he's really an ambassador for the industry, in the sense of saying that, he's also wrote a book called Business of the 21st Century, where he speaks specifically about network marketing. But, also, I love Robert Kiyosaki, but also, he also can sometimes write, I'm also very wary of people that write too many books. I like sort of the first 5 or 6, it's like, every year you've got to bring out a new book, and then the next one. And if you're not bringing out books, you've got to host conferences. So, but I think he's been a massive, for me, that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, really changed my life. So for me personally, at least.
Right, let's see if there's any, okay, right, it's a question here, WC Vavalier, I think that's how you pronounce it, and the money back guarantee. So just asking, I assume, about the guarantee.
Oh, okay, that's a great question. So just quickly, so the one thing is you've got to remember that the Consumer Protection Act of South Africa sort of guarantees you that any company is going to have to give you your money back within the first 7 days. Specifically, if you look at a legitimate network marketing company, and that's the majority of them. I mean, there's 28 companies that are part of the DSA, so that's actually one of the requirements, is that the DSA stands for the Direct Selling Association. But what they actually, all of them will give back, have got what they call a buyback policy. So, for instance, you can be part of that company, try the products for up to 30 days, and then they will give you a satisfaction guarantees, or they'll do a refund for you if you're not satisfied with the opportunity. It's almost like a cooling down period, if I can call it that. So with our company specifically, we offer 90 days, just because we feel that people are going to get better results if they stick on the products for longer, because obviously you're not working with a allopathic, medication that sort of someone takes and straight away they feel better. You're working on something that's obviously more natural, so it can take a lot longer for people. So any legitimate network marketing company is going to have what they call a buyback policy. So they're going to say, listen here, you can be part of this company, and if you're not happy within the first 30 days, return the empty containers of the product, or return the products that you've bought, and we'll gladly refund you. So that's actually one of the requirements of the industry. So, and that's obviously very often what's not going to happen is when people invest money, the people aren't going to give you your money back. Or it's going to be, well, you can say, maybe I can withdraw the money. But for me, always a challenge with that is very often is that if you're investing in something where you're putting money towards it or a currency towards it, is that the problem is sometimes when everyone wants to draw back their money at the same time, because there's maybe negative press or there's something that happens and you want to get your money back. So it looks great if it looks on the computer screen. It says, oh, I've got 5 million rand now, in this currency. But you've got to reinvest it every month. You've got to compound it. And some of what I've also seen with other companies, what they do is in the beginning, they say you can take 100% out, but then they sort of build things in and they say, okay, now you can only withdraw 50% of it per month. To stop people from all withdrawing their money at the same time because they can't fund it because they need new investors to carry on putting money in. And if you have a turn, maybe even with Bitcoin, which obviously has increased quite a bit. I mean, 40% in the last month or so because of the halving event that's taken place. But even with that, it's great when it's increasing. But the problem is, what do you do when it's not increasing? When it's actually going down? And that you can't keep up those returns. So that for me is also something that's always worrying. So, but for me, to be dead honest, I was saying to a friend of mine the other day, I've got no issue with people investing in it. But for me personally, I won't do that because I don't want to fuel something that I've worked so hard over the last 10, 12 years to protect, the industry and being an ambassador for the industry. If that's potentially is going to fuel something that I don't believe in, fundamentally, I feel is not right, But that's just a matter of principle. It's not even, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that will make a lot of money in a lot of different things. Definitely. You could have made a lot of money in doing loads of things over the last 50 years. But for me, it's really about how does it make you feel. If it makes you feel good with whatever you do, then I think go for it. But I would just be very cautious not to sit with egg on your face when you got friends to invest money and they lost their money, because you might think people are their friends and they won't have an issue with it, but you know what people do. So for me, I would rather, if I was going to do something like that, I would say, okay, well, I'll invest the money, but I'm not going to get anyone involved. I'd rather if I can put 10,000 Rand in and make in the next 5 years 10 million Rand, then I'd rather put in 100,000 Rand and give all my friends that really need money, I'll give them the money. But I'll take the risk on me. I'm not going to make a commission for referring other people to something where it's potentially something that's, because here's the reality, just quickly in sharing that, because I think I've spoken about this before, but when someone's saying to you that you can potentially make a return of 15% a month or 30% a month, that means that if you put in just as an example, 1,000 Rand a month for the next 10 years, you would have like 227 trillion Rand.
Where do I do
for
that?
1,000 Rand a month? That would be the most amazing investment that I've ever that you do. Why would you? It's crazy. You'd be by far the wealthiest person in the world. And it's not only you that's going to be the other 30, 40, 50, 100,000 people involved also. They're all going to make the same return. So for me, that's just like, I actually just couldn't stomach actually sharing that with someone to say to them, this is what, it's not guaranteed, but also what happens very often with these things, in the beginning, it looks good. And as people get involved in making the returns, those things change. And as there are enough people involved, the returns aren't that good, because sometimes also what happens is the more people get involved, the bigger the pool becomes, but you're also sharing that pool with more people. So then at the end of the day, what ends up happening is the only people that really make money are people that are out there recruiting people. The people that just made the investment aren't really going to make the return. But on all of this is all just my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just obviously passionate about the industry. And this is obviously for every single person. It's completely up to them to decide. It's their money. You can do with your money whatever you want to. But I'm just very wary of things like that, because it's just I think if you actually really think about it as an intelligent human being, then you would realize that return is really impossible. And I actually want to just close the discussion there on that specific topic.
Are you feeling better now?
Yeah,
Thank you No, I'm just joking with you. I really appreciate your time today. And I think anybody that's been part of looking at all all these new schemes, and I think it's a perfect time to do that. Like you said, I think everybody's in fear and everybody's in the need of making extra money. So it's all these kind of schemes starting coming out of the surface, and almost on the right time. So I don't think it's coincidence. So again, I think if you joined us late, go back to this replay and just look at what you need to look for when you looking at the network marketing company, and any, let's call it, scheme out there. Evaluate to what it is. If it's only about money, if it's only about greed, then maybe it's not the right thing to do for your own consciousness. So I'm gonna, JP, can I put you on the spot and invite anyone that's interested in, that's not part of network marketing currently, and that want a bit more information. I didn't warn him about this, so I put him a bit on the spot. You guys, maybe if you want, if you got my number, you can send the details to me, and just to find out a bit more, and just speak to JP if you don't mind. JP,
yeah, I'd be happy to assist. I mean, and you know, I actually didn't. I actually still wanted to mention this, and maybe just in closing, I think, you know, just if there are 7 things I think you really need to look at. I think the first thing is, when choosing any opportunity, the first thing is always going to come down to the product that you're using. I think the next thing is going to be the compensation plan of the company, to make sure it's it's a rewarding compensation plan, in the sense of, and it's very focused on customer driven, because obviously if it's just focused on recruiting and not on customers, then it's also definitely definitely be a red flag for me. I think the next thing, just quickly, the third thing, just in closing, is look at the company. Like, how long has the company been in business? Who runs the company? Is it a public company? Is it a private company? Look at those sorts of things. The fourth thing is look at the leadership of the company. Look at the global expansion. Can you do business all over the world? You know, how many countries is the business operating? Is there opportunity for growth? And then the last thing, I think, also look at the person that you're going to be working with. Like, for me, that's something, you know, we've obviously got a very big organization, but for me, the people that I see make a massive success is that they like working with the person that they've signed up with. So for me, you've got to have a very, very good relationship. There's got to be a lot of trust. You've got to know this person can support you with meetings and trainings and all that sort of thing. That's something that's very, very important. Lastly, it's also important for you as an individual that you've got to realize that most people aren't always entrepreneurial. So when you get involved in something like this, and you're not called to be an entrepreneur, that it's important that you're also willing to take a chance, and you're willing to go out there and take a leap of faith, and willing to speak to people. And because I think, for me, honestly, what I just want to quickly close with this is that very often what happens if you've got I spoke about this last night actually in a leadership call, but if you think about this being the y-axis and the y-axis being results, and this is like the x-axis, and the x-axis obviously the time. Very often people think it's like if the curve is actually just going to be like this. It's just going to be a 90 degree curve going all the way up, because that's what they think. That's what they think really should happen. And what people don't realize is that how it actually works is it's actually going to probably be something like this. So that if the 90 degree curve is here, it's actually going to be something that's going to be quite challenging, and eventually you'll make a success. And the problem is that most people in that in between, where you think it is and where there's like almost that space there, that's where most people stop, is because they think it's not going to work. They don't have the perseverance to push through. It's the same thing as, think about like 1 degree, what difference 1 degree can make. I mean, you know, at 99 degrees, it's boiling, it's hot water, but at 100 degrees, it's boiling water, and that can power a steam train, or you can make electricity from that, you know, like you can power cities. So literally it's that 1% that makes such a big difference in the long run. So I want to encourage you is that realize that not only in this business, but in any business, that there are going to be, there's the dream that you have, then there's the struggles you need to go through, and then ultimately you have the victory in the end. You know, so it's definitely not a get rich quick scheme. It does take time and effort, and you know, but it's definitely, without a doubt, it's an industry out there that gives the most people the biggest opportunity to make success, because it doesn't cost an arm and a leg to get involved. You can start off in this industry for $50, and you can earn $1 million. So that for me is also something that's really, really important to realize. It's not a 2 to 5 week plan. It's a 2 to 5 year plan of consistent effort. And yeah, and it's a life changing opportunity for people who do decide to pursue it. So Yeah, so I'm sorry. I realized that I haven't actually given you all the reasons, and people might have been on the call and they were asking, like, how do you choose? And I haven't even mentioned. So the first thing is the product. The second thing is the compensation plan. Third thing is the company. Fourth thing is leadership. Fifth thing is the global expansion. The sixth thing is the person you're going to be working with, and the seventh thing is obviously you as the individual.
Amazing content, amazing value. Thank you very much, JP. Charmaine van Dijk says, no greater network marketing business than Manitech, with a big heart. So,
okay,
great,
awesome.
Charmaine. And Carol, thank you for sharing, JP. So, yeah, from my side as well, it was almost an hour of massive value. I really appreciate your time. I know you're also a busy guy, and on a lot of network calls and Zoom calls. So, but thank you very much for taking your time and just giving us some insight about how to choose a network marketing company.
Awesome, man. That's really welcome, and have a great week. And to everyone on the call, have a great week, and blessings to you and your family during this time.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.